Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm getting to this about a little close to 6:30 tonight. I'd hoped to do it a little bit earlier today, but with snow day number 5 and having kids and family everywhere, it's just becoming a little difficult to kind of step away for a few minutes. But I really wanted to put congratulations out there for Little Big Dog Treats. They are launching today is the official grand opening. I finished the site about 2 weeks ago, and it was one that was kind of so dear to my heart. When Sandy had contacted me, I had built Sandy's blog for her last year, so I'd already, we were familiar with each other, and I'd worked with her before, and she's told me she'd like to do another project. So I was excited to work with her, but as we started going through things, I asked her, I said, so are you looking to do another blog? What are we going into? Are you starting a business? And then she told me what the site was going to be for. And it really, really hit home. Her daughter, who was born with Down syndrome, wanted to gain independence. And she loves pets. She loves animals, loves dogs so much. And she loves to be in the kitchen like her mother. So she bakes dog treats, and she's amazing at it. And she wanted to grow this business. So we sat down and we came up with a game plan and kind of worked through everything. And of course, when you're going to start a business like this, it's not just creating an office online or a blog or a place where you can kind of share life with people. This had so many more details to it than just a general e-commerce site. There was only several products. Of course, it's one product, which is dog bones, but dog little treats. But there were several different flavors, and we talked about options, how we were going to accept payment, what we were going to do, what methods, and that's probably the first thing I always tell people when you're getting ready to do an e-commerce site. You need to think of your payment option first, how you're going to accept payment. There's so many gateways out there, and PayPal is an easy way, one of your kind of faster setups to do, because when you do some other merchant accounts, you have to go through a lengthy application process. So years ago, I had used a different form of payment. I had used AuthorizeNet, and although it was great, it does take a little while because you have to go through all the little loopholes to get through, or all the little, I guess not loopholes, the red tape, just to make sure you get everything set up. So we decided to go with PayPal on this account. PayPal is fabulous. I love it. I've used it in the business for quite a while. And so we got everything set up, and then you have to start looking at every little part of the e-commerce site once you start putting it. It's not just simply putting in a product picture, putting a price, and then you're done. In WordPress, we always use e-commerce through a plugin called WooCommerce, which is fabulous, and it's free. Now here's the catch, though. All the wonderful features that gets really detailed with e-commerce sites with shopping carts are done through extensions, which is basically a paid premium plugin through WooCommerce themselves that works with WooCommerce. So, we were trying to keep it as simple as we could so they can launch, but try to have the elements that she wanted and needed to get to that level. So that was one thing that we had to kind of look at all of our options when we were doing the site. The next thing you have to decide, you just kind of have, how are you going to put your products up? What are we going to do? What are we doing in forms of pictures? Does your pictures need to be copyrighted? So do you need a watermark placed on them? And that's something you want to tell your developer at the very beginning, because once all the photos are loaded into a site, then if you go and need to swap out for a copyright, there's some plugins that you can play with out there, but I'll be honest, they're not fabulous. It's better to start with your watermark on your photo at the very beginning. So if you need to swap them out, throughout your site, there's so many places that it links to that image. And that image, although in some places on the site it may appear the same size, the same image, the same everything, it's not. It's a different sizes. The developer will have to go through and resize images, crop images, just to get them to fit properly in certain elements. So you want to make sure that's something you look at when you get started. Another thing you have to start looking at, which you put your products in, you have their pictures loaded, you have your pricing set. Now you have to figure out where you're at, what the tax rate goes with. So you have to kind of look at that and see what tax rate you're following. Now, If you're a complicated state, you definitely will want to probably use a plugin for this, an extension for WooCommerce, so it can calculate the rate properly. Like California has quite a few different calculations. It just depends where you're at. You need to speak with your tax consultant when you do this. So you definitely, sorry, my screen. You definitely want to look at your tax rate when you get started, because that will be something that will have to be inputted. Where she was in Tennessee, the current laws in Tennessee made it a little bit easier because we, were able to set it where Tennessee will be charged for anybody in Tennessee, and then all the surrounding states will not be charged the tax. So, but you do need to talk with your tax consultant, like I said, to see how that tax needs to be set up. If it is a more detailed state where you're charged by zip code or area location, by county, imagine inputting all of those and all the tax rates that go with it. It can get really detailed. So definitely one other element you have to think of. And then the next one is shipping. Shipping and handling sounds so easy and so simple. And in the basic version of WooCommerce, you can set shipping per product, but there's also a detailed little math calculation you have to figure out, and it kind of goes with each variable. It can get very, very complicated. So if you want to get very specific on your shipping, definitely go with a plugin, another premium extension of that WooCommerce, because it can get very complicated, and there's just some things you can't do with the basic version of WooCommerce. So as you start building all these elements, you need to think of other things you do, other things you want to create. For Sandy's site, for Little Big Dog Treats, I went ahead and created a little favicon icon at the top. So when someone's in their browser and there's little tabs across the top, they'll see a little teeny dog, the little logo at the very top, just so it makes it easy for people to look at it and locate it. Another thing that we got into and that I created for her, she wanted an event section. And so when you're going to create events, you can do this so many ways. Some people will just do it more in the form of a blog post. They'll create categories, and they'll create a events category, and they could just kind of blog about their little events that are coming up, like if they're going to be at festivals selling their products or wherever they're going to be. With Sandy's, she wanted more of a calendar. So an events calendar has so many details. You can build it through a great plugin. There's so many great plugins out there, but to get it configured and to set it up takes a lot of time. So definitely, as you're going into a site to have it developed, make sure you let your developer know, no, this is not a category that I'm creating. I want a whole entire events calendar. That's a huge, huge undertaking that you will want. So although the site itself was very simple in the form of products, there was a lot of elements that got added into the project that kind of just made it function a little bit different, a little bit more customized, and those definitely take more time. Sometimes they take more plugins, which does cost. It's it'll cost the developer to install those plugins, or if someone pays for them separate. But those are things that you need to think of before you go into your project, because if you're starting thinking, I'm just going to set up a simple e-commerce site, by the end, some of your thoughts and your dreams and things you want may end up pretty costly. So you definitely want to keep that in mind as you are trying to get further and further into your project. Also, if you have a logo, this is one thing that they already had their logo that they had bought, that they had purchased and paid for. But if you need to have the developer create a logo or a header, those are going to be additional fees, additional costs, because it will take them, obviously more time to go ahead and develop if you're going to set up so many different things. Anyways, it can get in great, great detail as you are building the site, as you are trying to add things to it. The more pages you add, the more categories you create. If you're having a blog within your site yourself, that will usually be another additional cost. So these are all elements I just kind of wanted to go over, not as in detail as it gets, because that could be almost an hour-long post, or I guess video. But anyways, this was an exciting site. I am so excited for them to launch today, and I hope their business just flourishes. And I wish all the best to Sandy and her daughter as they embark on this new adventure. And as she gains her independence, as she gets more and more into her business, I think it's so exciting. And I hope the best for my daughter too when she reaches that age. I hope that she has that desire, and that's something that I as a mother can help her with. So, all right. Well, this is me signing out for tonight, and I will talk with you guys later. All right. Bye.